The Span Between Us. A Manifesto of Spanology. Redefining distance, angle, and meaning in human language. Introduction. Language is a living organism, constantly shaped by our embodied experiences. Yet, sometimes words we take for granted hide complexities that reveal deep fissures in how we conceptualize space, body, and meaning. The English word span is one such word. Traditionally defined as the distance between the tips of the thumb and little finger when the hand is fully extended, span also denotes structural distances such as the span of a bridge or the wingspan of a bird. But what does it truly mean to span something? Is it just a simple distance, or is there more to its meaning, a hidden dimension involving angle, structure, and embodied experience? This article aims to unpack the word span, challenge its traditional dictionary definitions, and propose a new way of understanding it, one that reinstates its embodied, structural, and semantic richness. Welcome to the nascent field of spanology. 1. Traditional definitions and their limitations. Most dictionaries, including authoritative ones like the Short Oxford English Dictionary and Merriam-Webster, define span as the distance between the tips of the thumb and little finger when the hand is fully extended. Occasionally, variants include the forefinger instead of the little finger, but the thumb is almost always one endpoint. These definitions share several implicit assumptions. The hand is fully extended, usually interpreted as placing the palm flat on a surface and stretching the fingers. The distance measured is a straight line between 2 points. The span is a linear, static measurement, largely ignoring the dynamics of the body or the exact spatial configuration of the fingers. However, these assumptions hide important complexities. 2. The ignored dimension, angle and posture. A critical overlooked factor is how the hand is extended. Is the hand laid flat on a horizontal surface, fingers spread out? Or is the hand vertically positioned, fingers pressed against a wall? Does the angle between the fingers affect the measurement or meaning of span? These different postures result in different spans. Horizontally spread fingers on a flat surface usually allow maximum distance due to finger flexibility. Vertically extended fingers might not stretch as far due to natural hand biomechanics. Furthermore, the traditional definition does not specify the spatial plane or angle, which can dramatically affect the actual measured length. 3. Beyond distance. The semantic role of angle in span. Here lies a key insight. Span is not merely a distance but an embodied concept involving both length and angle. Consider these points. If the thumb and another finger form a 180 degrees angle, completely straight line, does it still make sense to call that measurement a span? If span were purely about distance, then a straight line between 2 points, without any angular spread, would suffice, making the word distance interchangeable. Yet, language has 2 distinct words for these concepts, implying span connotes a structural openness or angular spread, not just linear measurement. In other words, span inherently involves a crossing over, stretching across, or opening out, a spatial relationship with a meaningful angle less than 180 degrees, creating a bridge or gap to be crossed or spanned. 4. Embodiment and structural consistency across uses of span. Span appears in diverse contexts, but always with a common thread. Handspan. Thumb to little finger forming an arc or opening. Bridge span. The horizontal distance between 2 supports, implying a suspended structure bridging a gap. Wingspan. The spread of wings, almost always curved or angled rather than completely straight. These usages imply an embodied spatial prototype of span, as a measurable distance, yes, but, crucially, a distance defined by a structural opening or spread, involving a nonlinear angled configuration that creates a meaningful betweenness, or gap to be traversed. This conceptual unity is ignored in many dictionary definitions that reduce span to a bare linear distance. 5. The problem of extreme flexibility and the 180 degrees limit. What happens if someone's hand is so flexible that the thumb and finger can stretch almost to 180 degrees, effectively forming a straight line? According to the traditional linear definition, the span would be very large. But semantically and conceptually, the opening or spread characteristic diminishes. At 180 degrees, the concept of span starts to collapse into mere distance, losing the embedded notion of angular openness. Therefore, the existence and meaningfulness of span depend on the angle between endpoints being less than 180 degrees. This angle limitation is not trivial. It is part of the semantic essence of span. 6. Introducing spanology, a new linguistic perspective. Given these insights, we propose spanology, the study of the word span as an embodied, structural, and semantic concept, emphasizing its angular dimension, embodied origins, and metaphorical extensions. A spanologist investigates the origins of span as a measure derived from human anatomy and movement, the cognitive linguistic frameworks that support span as a concept involving angle and structure, not just distance. The semantic evolution of span in technical, bridge, wing, temporal, time span, and metaphorical contexts. The limitations of traditional dictionary definitions that reduce span to static linear measures. The relationship between physical embodiment and language. How spatial and angular cognition informs lexical meaning. 7. Implications and future directions. This perspective has broader implications. It challenges lexicographers to include embodied and structural dimensions in definitions. It encourages cognitive linguists to investigate how angular and spatial prototypes shape lexical semantics. It invites language philosophers to explore how words encode embodied action and perception. It opens doors to new interdisciplinary research linking anatomy, biomechanics, cognition, and semantics. Conclusion. The word span is more than a simple distance. It is a spatial, embodied, and structural concept that encodes angle, opening, and bridging. Its meaning collapses into mere distance, only when this angular openness is lost. Recognizing this enriches our understanding of language, body, and cognition. It also reveals gaps in traditional lexicography and semantics waiting to be explored. Thus begins spanology, the study of spans in language and life.